Hello and good evening, people. Welcome back to Spill the Tea Lou. First of all, thank you very much for your patience. I hate when streamers are late to their streams. It's like you have set up a time, just turn up. Very, very much so. Do apologise. Unfortunately, I did have a slight technical issue because a stream did start on YouTube, but it wasn't this stream. It was a different stream. So we had everybody waiting in here for the stream that I planned and scheduled and set up over an hour ago. And then we actually had this stream, which just nothing was happening. And then I was streaming somewhere else. So it was just a bit of a disaster. Technical issue for me. Shock horror. We got it sorted out. I didn't have my technical support. I didn't have Ash cheering me on. So I had to figure it out all by myself. And bloody hell, let me just say, YouTube is harder than it should be. I mean, how hard can it be to just turn up and talk and chat to some lovely people? But oh no, it can't be that simple, lads. So thank you so much for being here. I see Dave, I see Rob, Jay very kindly joined me on the stream that actually did start and has now made his way across to the right stream. Thank you so much for joining me. The lads have been chatting away. I see Guess, I see Rob lad. Big up, everybody. Thank you so much. So glad you're here. Now I can breathe because the stream's working. The people are here. We're going to have a bit of a chat. Look, I know you've all seen the thumbnail. I know everybody is just talking about Mo Salah, Arnie Slot, Jamie Carragher, Liverpool, the whole lot. And sure, we couldn't be left out. And I know I did a bit of a pre-record. I did a bit of a chat about it. But I thought, you know what? It's not quite the same on a pre-record. And I keep telling you this. I do the pre-records because they're handy for me when I go to work. I throw them up. You can get your comments in. But it's just not the same as having a chat with you in the evening where you can actually chat back. Because otherwise it's just me in a room talking. And I mean, I'm not saying that never happens, but it is a sign of insanity. So I probably need to cut that out because honestly, it gets to the point where I'm answering myself. Please let me know, guys, because I did set this up myself. I'm not sure if the sound is okay. Is it loud enough? Is it not loud enough? Am I too loud? Because I shout. So tell me if I need to turn it up or down or anything. The camera's not being moved because honestly, if I move it, it's just going to fall over. So whatever angle you are getting, that's the one you're getting. Just ignore the double chins. But yes, we are going to talk about Liverpool and all the drama. However, Liverpool is not the only team or club where the current players are having drama with the legends. So we are going to talk about Manchester United as well. And then I don't know if I haven't seen Twisted come in here yet. This man is on the missing list. We're going to have to go looking for him because I'm actually starting to be worried like that, or he's on the Raz. But we are going to talk about Aston Villa and Crystal Palace at the end of the video as well. I'm going to get going. You start getting your comment. There he is. We see him. We found him, lads. Hold off the search party. Twisted has made it to the show. He heard the words Crystal Palace and he appeared out of nowhere. Sorry if I've burst everybody's eardrums. So let's get started because the last time I said at the start of a live show, when me and Ash were talking, I said, oh, well, it's not going to be 2 hours long. 1 hour and 48 minutes later, we ended the stream. So I know we have European football tonight because of my technical issues and my issues just being able to do things by myself without help. We have 44 minutes before football starts. So I'm going to get going. You get your comments in. And please smash a like, people. Please do smash a like on the video. When you come in, when you get stuck into the chat, sometimes it can be easy to forget to actually push the button. I do it myself because I want to come in and say hello to everybody. And then I'm like, oh no, I forgot the little button. If you're new, I think everybody here is familiar. But if you're new, if there's somebody lurking that hasn't said hello to us yet, please do subscribe to the channel. We're a nice old bunch. We're generally pretty normal. Can't promise on that one, but we're pretty nice. So let's get stuck in. Obviously, I did a video the other day. Mohamed Salah came out. He basically said he felt that he was thrown under the bus by the club, that he felt like he had no relationship with the manager, not a broken relationship, just no relationship whatsoever, which is even worse again. And that he felt like somebody at the club didn't want him there anymore, that he's invited his family to the next match because he feels like it could be his last one in a Liverpool jersey. He has no idea what's going to happen after AFCON. And essentially his entire future is up in the air and it's not what he wants, but it's everybody else's fault. Now, yes, Rob, normal. But I understand this is a very, very emotive topic for Liverpool fans. And I would like to make it very, very clear from the beginning, I am not telling any Liverpool fan how they should feel about Mohamed Salah, how they should feel about Arne Slot, how they should feel about Jamie Carragher, or how they should feel about the situation at their club. However, from the outside looking in, and as a fan of a club who has gone through something similar to this, I have an opinion and I'm going to be sharing it. So you feel free to share yours back at me. I think Mohamed Salah was wrong. At the end of the day, he is an employee of Liverpool Football Club, and almost all employment contracts across the board, regardless of industry, have a clause in them. If you bring the company into disrepute, we can terminate your contract. So I would actually say that what Mohamed Salah has come out and done and said is probably grounds to terminate his contract. Now, I can't say that for sure, but I mean, I would be astounded if that clause was not in his contract. I do not believe Liverpool Football Club are going to do that. I'm just saying he's probably put them in a position where they can. The reason these clauses are written into contracts is because you don't want your employees, which is what he is, coming out and slandering your company, which is what he has done publicly. So I think it was wrong. He needs to understand that no player is bigger than the club, and that at the end of the day, if you're unhappy in your workplace, if you're unhappy with your working conditions, if there is something that you feel needs to be addressed, you need to go through the proper channels in order to do that. When Arne Slot was asked about these quotes in his press conference, he said that he had no idea that Mohamed Salah felt this way. Now, obviously, Slot could be lying, but I mean, he said he had no idea that Salah felt this way. That would tell me that Salah has not approached Slot privately. His first port of call was to go public, which is not great. Hello, John Hassam. Look who is in the house. You never know who might sneak into our chats. Sometimes Hassam, sometimes Terry. Next it's going to be Mo. I'll need to bribe him. But yeah, so I just think regardless of who the people involved are, employee, employer, you cannot come out and do things in that way. Nobody is saying maybe what he said is incorrect. What most people are saying is the way he has gone about it is incorrect. Now, I am going to bring in Jamie Carragher's quotes. I'm not a massive fan of Jamie Carragher for many, many reasons. I generally don't listen to him. The only pundit that I like less than Jamie Carragher is Gary Neville. So he's quite low down on the list, but I don't know a lot about Liverpool. Well, I certainly don't know as much as Jamie Carragher, and I don't know as much as John Hassam. But he said some things that I found interesting, and I think sometimes it can be right message, wrong messenger. So some of what Jamie Carragher said probably makes quite a bit of sense, but because he is seen to have a bit of an agenda, the A word, against Mohamed Salah, what he said might be taken differently or might not be taken in the way that it would be if it was said by a Jurgen Klopp, just for example, someone who's actually respected currently by the Liverpool fan base and isn't known to have an issue with Mohamed Salah. But so part of what Jamie Carragher said is that, let me see, that Mohamed Salah has only spoken publicly 4 times in 8 years about Liverpool. One of those times was recently when it was time for his contract to be updated and upgraded if his pay is anything to go by. I find that really, really odd because Mohamed Salah has been an incredible player for Liverpool. He has also been someone who's considered a leader, someone who is considered, a prominent figure in the team and in the club and in the squad. So to hear that he has only spoken publicly 4 times in 8 years, one of those was contract talks and one of those is to call out his manager, I find that a little bit unsettling. I don't think that is a good look. If that was one of my players at Manchester United, and we do have experience of this, I would be absolutely fuming because that doesn't serve the football club. And at the end of the day, you're a fan of the football club. You might also be a fan of the player, but primarily you're a fan of the football club. So I find it odd that when he speaks publicly, it tends to be in his own interest and something that he wants for himself and not to come out and do something positive or speak for the football club, to speak to the fans, to boost his team in this very difficult time that they're having. And I just thought, you know what? Jamie Carragher has the point there. And if you just attribute those quotes to somebody else, people would probably take them a lot more seriously. it's really, really not a good look. Now I did have something else written down that Jamie said, because I don't want to misquote him. I mean, he gets himself in enough trouble without me saying he said things he didn't. Yeah, now the other thing he said, oh, so just to be clear, it wasn't that he had spoken publicly 4 times, he'd spoken in the mix zone, 4 times in 8 years. And so what Jamie Carragher said was that this was proof that it wasn't an emotional outburst. It wasn't something that he said in the moment and then potentially regretted. It's something that actually he calculated, he thought about, he planned, and then said. And I have to say, if the man has stopped 4 times in the mix zone in 8 years, and this was one of them, it looks pretty calculated. It sounds pretty calculated. Like, the poor press officer couldn't believe his ears. He probably just wanted to like gag him and drag him away. Honestly, I'm not sure which would have been less detrimental, if he just let him speak or if he dragged him off and stopped him. I genuinely don't know which one would have been a worse look, because this is a really bad look as it is. Now, the other thing, so Carragher kept going, and he said that Mohamed Salah waited for things to get bad and then essentially used it as leverage to go after the manager. So obviously, Liverpool have not had a good start to the season, but initially, even though the performances were bad, they were picking up points. Then the points tally started to follow the performances. They started to lose matches. The results became as bad as the performances, essentially. And so what Jamie Carragher is saying is that he feels that Mohamed Salah waited on purpose until Liverpool were at potentially the lowest point and then come out with this right before AFCON, right before January transfer window, when he had the most leverage. And he points to this again being evidence that it was absolutely calculated by Mohamed Salah. And I have to say, while Jamie Carragher does talk a lot of nonsense sometimes, this part to me does seem to hold water. And again, I fear that sometimes when you make a good point or it's the right message and it's carried by the wrong messenger, people switch off before they hear what's actually being said. Now, what I will say is it is quite conspiracy theory, and I can completely see why people might turn around and say, that's a big pile of nonsense. He didn't calculate it. He was just emotional and he just come out with it. I disagree, but I can understand why people would think that. I also understand people that want to back the man that they maybe feel has carried their team to this title, has carried their team through a difficult time and brought them into the light again. And, you know, someone who has been a real servant to their club. I just wouldn't like if my players were like this. When Ronaldo went and did that interview with Piers Morgan, I was so mad. Like, I was so mad. And I love Ronaldo. But I was so mad because I love Ronaldo. If I didn't like him or I didn't care about him or I thought he was a nobody, I wouldn't have cared what he went and said. But his opinion mattered so much to me because I regard him so highly. And I think maybe that can be the case with Salah. There are Liverpool fans out there that just think he's like a hero for them. For him to come out and do this, it's heartbreaking if you're against what he said. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really, really hard one. Now, what I'm going to do, because I've been rambling for ages, because that's what I do, I like to talk, I'm going to scroll up, I'm going to go through some of the comments. Not Rob and Dave, because you are just having a wee chat about the pub there. I'm going to try and find some comments about Mohamed Salah, Jamie Carragher. Okay, so are we going with Lou Bridge or Terry Lou? Oh, I don't like that one. I sound like I'm something out of, what did you call that? Little House on the Prairie is what I sound like there. Or what was the other one where they said goodnight to everybody? The Brady family? I sound like I'm one of them. Right, we're not going with that one. I see who else has joined us. There's guests coming in. Yes, technical issues. Again, Rob Ladd. Story of my life. Honestly, if I ever carry out a full stream without having technical issues, I don't know, I'm going to go and do the lotto, because I think it would be a sign of luck. Yes, Rob Ladd, agree. The similarity of Salah and Ronaldo dramas are a madness. Isn't it crazy? Two rival clubs, Liverpool and United, essentially walking down the same path. It's just crazy. I never thought I would see it. Let me see. Twisted arrived in the house with all his eyes. He must be seeing quadruple from the drinking he did after Palace made it into the top 4. That's what all them eyeballs are for. Let me see. Blah, 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 blah. Not blah, 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 but I mean, I'm looking for stuff that's... let me see. Everybody's in the pub. Everybody's in the pub having a drink. Have one for me, please. Hassam, my biggest fan. Rob Lad, thank you for reminding me. Big up to Rob Lad. Rob Lad said, I'd love to know what his teammates think of it. Alison's comments seemed like he was pretty annoyed. Rob Lad, thank you, because I wanted to talk about that and I completely forgot. Ran from my mind when I said Jamie Carragher so many times in like 10 minutes. Never happened before, probably will never happen again. This was his moment. But yes, Alison's comments did seem quite annoyed because he really was quite non-committal. He really sort of didn't give an answer. He really didn't say what he thought, but his face said it all. He looked mad. And when he said, I will speak to him, but it will be privately, it's a private matter, that tells me he's mad and he doesn't want to drag him publicly the way he dragged not only his manager, but his teammates. Because Salah said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he carried the team to the title. Well, that would imply the rest of your team wasn't good enough, and without you, they wouldn't have done it. Maybe they wouldn't have without you, but I mean that you were the reason they won, that you carried everybody and everybody else was terrible. That's what that implies to me. If I was his teammate, I wouldn't be very happy. I'd be like, who the hell do you think you are? First of all, we've started the season terribly. We had all these other issues going on. We're trying to gather points. We're trying to not cause more chaos. You didn't carry us. We all played a part in getting that Premier League. And now when we're at our lowest point, you're creating a shitstorm. Are you for real? I'd be mad. And I actually have to say, I thought Alison sounded mad. And I can't imagine Alison is the only one who's going to be mad when comments like that are being made. Totally agree, Rob Lad. John Hassam is absolutely correct and right. Like and subscribe. I'm going to call yous lovelies instead of frauds because I honestly, he needs to trademark the word frauds at this point. What else is going on? Am I a wee bit sideways? Did I fall over? Maybe I was on the drink and nobody told me. Is that better, people? Yes, I look a little bit less like I'm falling out of my chair. Yes, Mark did say he just doesn't like Salah. And the thing is, he doesn't like Salah. He just doesn't like Salah, but that doesn't mean that what he has said is incorrect. The two things can be true. Let me see. Okay. Rob Lad is on fire tonight. On fire in the comments. Everybody else is talking about alcohol. So Rob Lad is talking about Liverpool with me. I think he's a game changer and not a leader. He's not the captain either, so not his position to come out and speak. I understand what you're saying, Rob Lad, but it's not always the captain that comes out and speaks. Like, there's always multiple people. That's why, like, you have a leadership team, because more than the captain comes out and speaks. That's why it's not the same person sitting in the press conference every week for the matches before and after, because there's multiple leaders at a club. You don't have to be the captain to come out and speak. However, if you are going to come out and speak, try and do something that's going to add to the team, add to the situation, not something that's just going to cause more utter chaos. And yeah, this is the other thing, Rob Lad. I think he's being a bit melodramatic. It has been 3 matches. It's not like he's been dropped for like weeks and weeks. Like 3 matches. It's been 3 and he played in one of those. He didn't start 3 matches, but he played like a half in one of them. So honestly, I think he's very dramatic. I agree. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I agree with Jamie Carragher. Hello, my name's Lou and I agree with Jamie Carragher. I feel like I'm going to a meeting, but I do. And I think it was calculated. the timing of it, just before AFCON, into the January break, I don't think you can have something like that by accident. When somebody who speaks that little comes out and says that much, it's calculated. I'm sorry, I don't buy that it was an emotional outburst. I think it was ill-advised, but I don't think it was an emotional outburst, and I think it was really overly dramatic for the situation, being quite honest with you. Twisted. It has become a Carragher story because he has inserted himself into the story, as he likes to do. But it's not a story about Carragher. It's a story about Salah, which Carragher is now a part of. And considering his links and time spent at Liverpool, I think he's perfectly entitled to have an opinion, to be quite honest with you. Rob agrees. Other Rob Always United. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. So do I. Big up Matthew. Matthew has joined us. Matthew is, in fact, a Liverpool fan, so I'm going to see if I can find some of Matthew's comments because he might have a completely different perspective than me on this one. Rob Ladd is an Arsenal fan, and he would like to thank Salah for taking away the focus from an Arsenal loss. And look, there's looking on the bright side, eh? Rob asks, does it have shades of Garnacho? It has shades of Garnacho, and it has shades of Ronaldo. I think more so Ronaldo, because while Garnacho was quite public, he didn't have the status of a Salah, whereas obviously Ronaldo does, and then some. So I think it's closer to what happened with Ronaldo. He felt that he was the star of the team. He felt that he was carrying the team. He felt that the team needed him more than he needed them, and that therefore he should have more of a say than anybody else, including the manager. So I think I understand what you're saying with Garnacho, but I do feel it's more like what happened with Ronaldo. Matthew, not a fan of Carragher. Carragher is an Evertonian, really. He doesn't represent all Liverpool fans. I don't think any one person can represent an entire fan base at all. And I have seen it all over social media. Obviously, the storm has been building and building and building and picking up, and new layers being added. It's all over YouTube, it's all over X, all over everywhere. I don't think any one person fully represents an entire fan base. There's too many people, and people never agree. So I agree with your comment, 100%. Waltons. Yes, Rob. The people that all said goodnight to each other. The Waltons. That's what I felt like. Do I think Salah is really done with Liverpool? He might be. He might be, yeah, to be honest with you, because I just don't think that you can come out and speak about the manager like that. Forget how you feel about Salah and Slot. A player cannot come out and speak about the manager like that. And I know I've seen a lot of people saying the manager isn't the club. No, but he is the representative of the club. The manager is the representative of the club. The office of manager is the representative of the club. You can't come out and do that. I don't think, unless he comes out and has a heartfelt public apology, which I don't think he's going to do because he clearly feels strongly on this, I don't believe there's a way back. The same with Ronaldo. As much as you don't want it to end that way, I think when things become that toxic, that publicly toxic, I don't think you can come back, because not because of this situation, but because of the precedent it sets for everything that comes after. So I do. I really think it's done, to be honest with you. Twisted Baba. Now, I saw you earlier saying some stuff similar to this. Every fan called Liverpool a one-man team last season. Salah was kind of correct. First of all, he wasn't correct, because there was never one person on the pitch for Liverpool, at all. He might have done more work than others. He might have scored more goals than others. He was clearly a very important part of the team. There's no such thing as a one-man team. They don't exist. They just don't exist. So I wholeheartedly disagree. The thing is, even if he was absolutely correct, so let's just say in this instance, we will imagine that Liverpool was a one-man team, that he's totally correct, everything he said was right, and Slot needs to go. Let's say that. I still think what he did was wrong. That's not how you go about it. You cannot, as an employee, come out and publicly cause damage to the reputation of your organisation, and that's what he's done. So regardless of it, everything he said was correct. he still can't do that. He's still wrong. Now, obviously, everybody isn't going to agree on that because otherwise people wouldn't still be debating it. But I just think he was wrong. Even if he was right, he was wrong. That's not how you go about it. Dave Boy, what Ronaldo said was right. Madrid and Juve were years ahead with training facilities. That's why the Rats spent millions on Carrington. And again, I have the exact same energy for one of our legends, for Ronaldo, as I do for Mohamed Salah. It doesn't matter who it is. You can't do that. Cristiano Ronaldo, almost everything he said was correct. Almost everything he said echoed what the fans were saying for years. And actually, I think the fact that he did it so publicly was possibly a catalyst in the change that we have seen since. So what he has done is a net positive for our club. However, it couldn't be allowed to stand. He had to go. And you know what it is? When he did it, he knew he had to go. And honestly, Salah's not a silly man. Salah's clearly highly intelligent. He's timed it well. He's made sure of what he said. I think he's potentially said it knowing the consequences. So for me, I very much felt when Ronaldo did this, he essentially took one for the team. He knew when he came out and did what he did, he was not going to be able to continue at Manchester United. But he felt that it was worth getting the message out there publicly and that the net positive would be so good that he would be happy to leave on that note. He would be the person that would stand up and say it. And potentially Salah feels that way. Potentially Salah knows, look, I can't come back from this, but I feel that this issue is so important that this man has to go so soon that I will come out and I will be the one who takes the one for the team. I will take the fall and I will leave the club that I love, that I have given so much to, because I feel that this is more important. This is big picture, not small picture. So, yeah, I completely agree. What Ronaldo said was right, but the way he said it was wrong. Let me see. Salah is done. He said Liverpool threw him under the bus, so he disrespected the badge, the fans, and those who watch him. Salah has history doing this. Mane, Klopp, Bobby Firmino, Salah always wanted to be the leading player up top every game. And that's another really, really good point, Matthew, because Salah did this before. Salah hasn't just done this under Slot. He did it under Klopp. Except Klopp was big enough, he had enough of a reputation, he had enough in the bank to say, get back in your box. Because even though you're really important, you're not more important. And I think that's being forgotten about. Because people think Slot isn't the guy, because people agree with the sentiment of what he said, because people think Slot needs to go, they're saying, well, therefore, Salah is right and we back him. The two can be true. Salah can be wrong in what he did and Slot can still need to go. It can be both, and in fact, I think it is both. So I think you're right, and I think it's a really good point, Matthew. Salah has done this before. Rob lad, there we are. Both things can be true. Imagine that. You can agree with what Salah has said and also hate the way it's come out. And I think most Liverpool fans, maybe not all, most Liverpool fans might agree with that sentiment, but I am here to be corrected. Let me see. Sad Boy, Bootleg Boy 677, welcome to the channel, welcome to the chat. Thank you very much for your comment. I don't agree with Jamie because he mentioned Salah's Egypt career while disrespecting AFCON not too long ago. And see, this is the thing. Jamie makes some good points, but then he drowns it in terrible points. He drowns it in personal insults. He drowns it in stuff that he shouldn't say. See if Jamie just come out and said, Mohamed Salah hasn't spoken often for this club, but when he has, it's not been for the betterment of the club. It's been for the betterment of himself. It's been for a new contract. It's been for playing time. I don't feel that this adds to Liverpool Football Club. I think most fans would feel, even if they didn't agree with him, his heart's in the right place. But when he surrounds that with stuff about Egypt, with stuff about Salah's entire career, with personal comments, with disrespect, that's where he loses credibility. And it's a pity, because what he has to say is interesting if he took away all of the nonsense, and people won't take him seriously because he's not talking like a serious person. So I totally agree, sad bootleg boy. And I can completely understand, because as I said, I'm not a fan of Jamie Carragher at all. So I can understand the people that just don't want to listen to him because of it's him. But I think sometimes you lose it then. You lose the point that, you know, maybe should be spoken about by just ignoring him because of who the messenger is. So I do understand that. Yes, so Rob Ladd is agreeing there. Forgot about that, openly laughing at AFCON live on telly. Like, surely he's going to get in trouble for that. And again, it can be both. Jamie can act inappropriately. He can make comments that shouldn't be made at all, let alone on TV. But some of the points he makes can also be correct. It can be both, but I don't think there's anyone he doesn't rub up the wrong way, being quite honest with you. Sad bootleg boy comes back, says, yeah, call him a flop. That was personal. And I agree. There's no need to be personal. It's football. Stick to football. Shouldn't he know this already? Twisted feels told off. You're not being told off, my friend. All of the opinions are welcome, but I'm going to answer you. You talk to me, I talk to you. We have a conversation. It's A-okay. Rob, surprised by how many fans are behind Salah. I was initially, because it actually seems like the majority of the fan base are behind Salah. I do think part of that is because we as United fans, Rob, have seen this before. So we know the danger in it. We know what comes with backing a player over the manager. And so we've seen the result and the outcome of that. And we kind of know we don't want to go down that path anymore. Liverpool have never really done this before. Not in this way. So I think Liverpool fans aren't thinking about it in the long term. The kind of possible impact that this could have in the future, the precedent it might set. They're looking at this specific situation in isolation. They're looking at Salah and they're looking at Slot rather than the situation. And I think that's why maybe United fans specifically feel so very differently than Liverpool's on this specific topic, because we've seen it over and over and over again. They're seeing it for the first time, and it's someone they really like and someone they don't really believe in. So I do think that influences kind of the way this goes. Oh, hello. Gav has joined us. Gav says he hasn't got a problem with what he said. He's always said someone asks a question, to be totally honest with your answer. Liverpool fans are so quick to burn him. Gav, I've actually found Liverpool fans are really backing him. But I do think it depends what side of the algorithm you're on. I think sometimes the algorithm throws out what you're putting into it. You know what I mean? The same as life, you know, you get out what you put in. I think the algorithm can work like that a little bit sometimes. So maybe I'm seeing people that are more aligned with my opinion. But yeah, there's definitely Liverpool fans out there that are not happy with him. So I think it's important that we also stress that there are definitely Liverpool fans that are not pleased with the way that this came out. Again, not necessarily with what he said, but the way that it is actually played out in the media. I understand. Look, I understand. He was asked a question. We give out when people sort of step around a question instead of just answering it. I just don't think this is the way to do things. But again, I understand the other point of view. And I'm going to fly through some of these, because then we're actually going to talk about Manchester United and our problems with our legends, because there's always a problem at Manchester United. Let me see. Guest says Salah is getting older. It could be some fear there too. He's not as good as he used to be. That's a point, because he hasn't been great to start the season. He might feel that he's on his way out, and he'd rather go out with a bang than slowly kind of trickle off for the rest of the season. So maybe there's a bit of that. Yeah, I do think the club also have a lot to answer for. So we're talking about like the players, we're talking about the manager, Slot. But again, the club really has overall responsibility, and they probably could have handled the whole situation better between the two. Let me see. Gav is saying, probably why I've never really got on with management. Yeah, to be fair, I can be quite like that, which is why I work for myself, because I understand in the real world you can't operate like that. So I actually think that was a really, really great comment from Guest, because it's something I hadn't thought about before. There probably is a bit of fear factor. You know, he's used to being the guy, and bit by bit he's falling off. It's better to go out before he just totally declines. Maybe there is a bit of that, 100%. But as I said, speaking of legends and current players not getting on, Manchester United. So according to the Mail Sport, I couldn't find who the specific journalist was, but according to the Mail Sport, essentially battle lines have been drawn between the current squad for Manchester United and the class of 92, because the current players have said that they don't want to speak to or interview with the class of 92 pundits because they're too mean. Basically, they criticise them. They should understand the pressure of being at Manchester United, and they should be an arm around the shoulder and supporting them and boosting them up rather than putting them down. Well, I just think this says a lot about the mentality in our club, and I think it says a lot about the mentality in this generation, being quite honest with you. And I sound like I'm 100 years old there. But the thing is, the class of 92, the legends gone by, do actually understand the pressure. You are 100% correct, lads. They understand the pressure. Therefore, they can judge better than anyone else how much pressure they should be able to apply, and for you to still be able to work through it. And I just think, basically, we don't want to talk to them because they're too mean. It's left me a little bit speechless, being honest. It's left me a little bit like, that can't be real. Now, obviously, that's not exactly how they've said it, but that's what it boils down to. Imagine publicly pushing it out there, because the Mail Sport didn't get this by accident. So somebody's either connections or sources or agent or somebody has gone out there and given this to a media organisation. The players don't want to talk to the class of 92 pundits because they're too mean. Did nobody think that sounded ridiculous before they put it out there? I understand that social media adds an extra layer of pressure to players that wasn't there in previous years. However, there is also an extra layer of protection for players that wasn't there back in the day, because there's a lot of things that went on, a lot of things that were said back then, a lot of things that were done back then that are not allowed to be done now, that cannot be done now. And I would say the criticism these days is much more, generally, much more football orientated. We're setting aside Jamie Carragher and his personal issues with Mohamed Salah, but for the most part, the media operate differently. We're not seeing burning effigies of players. We're not seeing straw men. They're supposed to be players hanging from anywhere. We're not seeing multiple stories, derogatory stories being run on the players' partners. Yes, it's harder, but it's also easier. And honestly, if you performed better on the pitch, they wouldn't criticise you so much. So how about you stop watching social media? Stop watching the media. Block it on your phone. Turn your data off. Go into aeroplane mode. Win some matches. Concentrate on doing your job. And then you won't have to worry about who's being mean to you. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I've never heard anything so silly in all of my life. So, I'm going to get your comments on this one as well, because honestly, I could rant on that one for a long time. I couldn't believe what I was reading. What nonsense. And I don't mean, if something's abusive, I get it. That's not okay. But for the most part, they're just like saying it's not good enough. And it's not. So if you don't like that, make it good enough and people will stop saying it. How's about that, friend? So, Let me see. Where did we go? Where did we switch? From Salah to the class of 92. There's the question, isn't it? No, we've passed that. We've passed that. Rob lad, that's a good one to start with. Good grief. This current United crop are a bunch of babies. I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Just complete nonsense. Gav United. It all comes down to mentality, Lou. Players before focused on football and put everything else aside on the pitch. Now it's show me the money and oh look, TikTok. Completely agree, Gav. I mean, they can literally just not look at it. They can just not look at it. It's that straightforward. Class of 92 are right to be mean when you play crap. Agreed, yeah. I just totally agree. It's just complete. I've never seen anything like it. Somebody needs to advise them. Don't put that out there. It makes you look bad. Guess this is the same group that leaked that they had to drive home in the I forgot about that. They also are afraid of the dark. So don't say mean things, and they don't like the dark. Oh my goodness me. And then we wonder why the results are so erratic, because bloody hell. I want my mommy. Someone has been mean to me. Yeah, essentially that's the line they're going with. Like, genuinely, absolutely genuinely. Rob always United. What a bunch of wimps. Basically, Rob lad, scared off the dark, scared to talk to ex-players, scared to watch your own penalties. Blimey, this has tickled me. Well, Rob lad, we are here to entertain. But yeah, it's just, you have to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you cry. I'd cry. This is my team, people. This is my team. This is why I'm talking about Liverpool so much, because honestly, my team has been doing this forever. We've been doing it for years. We've been crumbling while everyone else is building themselves up. So do you know what it is? It's really nice to have some company with the crumble brigade, because honestly, it just takes the focus off us for a little bit as well. It's great. They're taking all the headlines. Keep it up, lads. Let me see. To be honest, I can see Scholes are keen, tucking in Bruno and reading him a bedtime story. Well, I can see them two-footing him with a challenge. So there's always that. There's feelings cause now. Yes, I do think as a whole, society is wants to wrap people in cotton wool. And look, I am not someone who looks down on like mental health struggles. I think it's very real. I think it's very important to talk about things when you're really struggling. But I think sometimes people use it. They take it to the extreme, and then it invalidates it when someone actually talks about it in a real way. And I think that's unlikable. I think if somebody is having genuine struggles with their mental health, if someone is genuinely feeling severely depressed or anxious, I think when you see it being used by people as like a fad, as like it's like an accessory, I think that undermines people who genuinely struggle with their mental health. And I don't think that that's fair. So I don't like it. Rob, I'm giving the reins at United to rebuild. Well, we'll be demolishing some stuff first before we build anything. I have one 100 million player and two smaller to mid signings. Who do I bring in? I would have to think about that, Rob. Because I'll be honest, and I'm being 100% genuine in this, I kind of know what positions I would want to bring in, and I know specifically who I would want to get rid of. But I don't feel that I watch enough of teams that are not in the Premier League to be massively informed. And so I don't want to just say a name because it's a popular name or because that's what other people are saying online. For me, certainly the positions I would want a key, out and out, experienced striker, top of the list. I would want a really, really good, solid midfielder. So Bruno never has to play there ever again. And I would want someone at left wing back. So that's the three I would want. The specific players, I'm not 100% sure. Dun, dun, dun. Anyone seen Tallow? Do you know what it is, Gav? Honestly, when he plays well, I give him the credit because sometimes he does just turn up. But overall, he's not the guy. He's just not the guy. He's not the one for us. So that's the end of him. Right, lads, the football is starting soon. I haven't got to Crystal Palace or Aston Villa, so we're going to have to stop talking about the drama. We're going to have to stop talking about all the infighting, all the civil wars, all of the players of days gone by fighting with the modern players. We're getting stuck into some good news. Well, not good news for us because our teams are terrible. Good news for other people. Because while all of this chaos is happening, while Chelsea is sliding down the table after being a title contender a few weeks ago, while the wheels have fallen off the bus at Liverpool, while Manchester United are trying to find a nightlight to get home in the dark, Aston Villa have gone into third and Crystal Palace have gone into fourth. Absolutely smashing it. Smashing it. Rob lad, what I will say, at the time when we were buying Sesko, I said we should get Watkins as well. In the summer, I said I would take, and people laughed at me, but you go back on the football terrace and I told Terry I would take Ollie Watkins as well, because yes, that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. But yes, so Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, doing really, really well. Two managers that have a hold on their players, two managers that are managing their teams, and they have some prima donnas as well. So we have Emery at Villa, we have Glasner at Crystal Palace. I spoke about Glasner before. I will link the video where I spoke about Glasner previously. It was a good video. I did some research on that. I was actually quite organised for that video, so there's some actual information in it rather than me just waffling on. But both of these managers are doing a really, really good job with their team. So you have Aston Villa on 30 points, Crystal Palace on 26 points. Aston Villa have won their last 5 matches in a row. I tell you what, if the United Strand was a Villa fan, he'd be getting a haircut, lads. And then you have Crystal Palace, who have won 3 and drawn 1. So they've only lost 1 of their last 5. So they're doing really bloody well. And while I don't want them to push my team out of the European spots, I am also quite happy to see a bit of an upset to the normal order. Because see if it was just Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Spurs, the traditional big ones again, it gets so boring. And so it's nice to see an upset because that's what football is about. It's about every team having a go, every team having the potential to win. And I think it's really important. See, when you have the same ones in the top 5 or 6, the same 3 up, 3 down in the relegation zone, and then the same ones in the middle just kind of chopping and changing a place or two every season, it does get boring. It really does. So it's nice to see the upset. It's nice to see the change to the order. It's nice to see the smaller or mid-table teams giving the big teams something to think about. And as I said, while I don't want them to pip my team to a European spot, I am also quite enjoying it. If I just take out my Manchester United head, I'm very much enjoying this turn of events. And wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if Amram won the league? It'd be real funny. If Emery won the league with Villa, meaning that Arsenal don't. Wouldn't that be funny? Sorry, Arsenal fans. But as you all know, my brother's an Arsenal fan, and I genuinely think I would have to visit every day the whole of next season just to remind him. So I'm going to read some of your comments on that one. I know the football is kicking off. I know everybody's going to want to go and watch it. There's some really good matches on this evening. I also want to go and watch it. Apologies, this section isn't longer because of my technical difficulties, but I'm going to fly through a few of your comments. I'm going to fly through their next 5 matches each. And by 8:05, we'll all be gone to watch the football. So let me see. Where have I gone? I've gone too far. Gav is heading off. Thank you so much for joining, Gav. It was lovely to see you, and we will catch you on the next one. Rob Lad obviously has a vested interest in this situation. He says, I don't think an Emery team can ever maintain the form needed to win a league. They're better suited for cups and top four battles. Happy for Palace, showing it's not all about big budget teams. Couldn't agree more with happy for Palace, showing it's not all about big budget teams. I'm hoping you're wrong about Emery, but obviously I know you have a horse in the race there, so totally understand. Board Dave Boy is saying Wolves are heading for Division 1. Yeah, honestly, I actually think they might beat, not only match, I think they might beat that 11-point record by Derby, because my goodness me, it is rough. It is really rough, and I feel sorry for them. Gav said, before he left us, Gav said, good job being a Wolves fan, he'd be cousin it by May. Cousin it from the Addams family, you know, the one that's all the hair. Very good. Yes, he would. Twisted Baba, who should be the authority on this subject. So he is going to be the final comment on this. Both Villa and Palace squads are bang average. Big up our managers. I think your squad is okay, but I do think big up your managers. The managers are doing a fantastic job. What I will just say, Villa's next 5 games, West Ham, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Forest. So some hard games in there, some games that should be winnable. And Palace's next 5 games are City, Leeds, Arsenal, Spurs, Fulham. So both are going to play Arsenal in the next 5 games. So where we're looking after those next 5 games, so basically by the start of January, is going to be incredibly interesting, because those are difficult runs. They're tricky runs. I would say Palace's is slightly more difficult than Villa's, but I mean, neither of them are particularly easy. So I think if they're still in and around it after those 5 matches, I don't think anyone can say that they don't have a chance. I think it's a really good look if they can stick in and around it with the matches that they have upcoming. And I agree with everybody. I think it's fantastic to see them doing so well. Folks, I'm going to let you all go. Get stuck into the football. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely evening. Smash a like on the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new and you've just been chilling in the background watching. I will speak to you all very soon. Have a lovely, lovely evening.